Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Cycle on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Jumai Manson. A quick reminder, the Global Television's on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Now on the news in full. President Bola Tinubu has assured Nigerians that the benefits of his renewed hope reforms will reach every state and community across the country. Speaking at the closed door of the Second National Economic Council Conference in Abuja, Tinubu urged governors and key stakeholders to move beyond dialogue and deliver measurable gains in jobs, infrastructure, food, security, fiscal discipline, and social protection. Represented by Senate President Godswill Akpabio, the president said reforms is a continuous process requiring courage, coordination, and accountability, noting that stronger federal-state collaboration remains key to building a resilient and inclusive economy. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has appointed Ambassador Ismail Abba Yusuf as Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, pending Senate confirmation. The presidency says the appointment follows resignation of the former chairman and aligns with efforts to strengthen transparency, accountability, and operational efficiency in Nigeria's Hajj management. Tinubu expressed confidence that the former ambassador to TKU will leverage his diplomatic and administrative experience to reposition the commission and improve services for Nigerian pilgrims. Moving on now to Vice President Kashim Shettima has departed Abuja for Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, to represent President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the 2026 African Union Summit focused on sustainable water and sanitation under Agenda 2063. He will join other African leaders at the 39th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of Heads of States and Government and the 30th AU General Assembly scheduled for February 14th and 15th. On the sidelines of the summit, Shettima is expected to hold bilateral meetings with political and business leaders to strengthen Nigeria's diplomatic and economic partnerships before returning home after his engagement. The All Progressive Congress Renewed Hope grassroots movement has officially endorsed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his second term, praising his reforms aimed at strengthening Nigeria's economy and governance. Our political correspondent, Ubong Usoro, tells us more.
In Abuja, leaders of the Renewed Hope grassroots movement passed a vote of confidence on President Tinubu, describing his administration as transformative and forward-looking. Speaking to journalists, National Coordinator Ambassador Isaac Chikozie Ude listed the administration's landmark reforms since May 29, 2023. He highlighted the removal of fuel subsidies and the unification of the foreign exchange system as key steps to restore fiscal discipline and boost investor confidence.
We are seeing what he's doing, but what he's doing, most people who doesn't like speaking positive about Mr. President's achievement block it through social media. But we are stepping it down because we also belong to that social media.
National Secretary Engineer Amodu Abdurrahman praised the government's focus on youth empowerment, education, and infrastructural development. He stressed that the group's role in keeping citizens informed and mobilized ahead of the 2027 elections.
Renew Hope Grassroots Movement is the largest. It's the largest pressure group in Nigeria, in Africa as a whole. The records are there for us to see. It is not theory, it's practical. And therefore, we are doing everything possible to ensure that we have a block vote for Mr. President, inshallah, who come 2027.
The Renewed Hope grassroots movement says it will continue nationwide efforts to educate and engage Nigerians, urging unity and active participation as the country approaches the next general elections. Ubong Usoro, Global Television News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has wrote to the National Assembly that it requires 873.78 billion naira to conduct the 2027 general elections. even as it seeks 171 billion naira to fund its operations in the 2026 fiscal year. The Commission Chairman, Joash Amupiton, made the disclosure while presenting the Commission's 2026 budget proposal and the projected cost for the 2027 general elections before the National Assembly Joint Committee on Electoral Matters in Abuja. Now, according to Amupiton, the 873.78 billion naira election budget covers the full conduct of national polls in 2027, and an additional 171 billion naira is needed to support INEC's routine activities in 2026, including by-elections and off-season elections. The senior advocate of Nigeria said the proposed election budget does not include a fresh request from the National Youth Service Corps seeking increased allowances for corps members engaged as ad hoc staff during elections. Justice Obiora Egewutu of the Federal High Court in Abuja has withdrawn from 2 Economic and Financial Crimes Commission cases against former Attorney General Abubakar Malami, citing personal reasons and the interest of justice. The cases include a multi-billion naira asset forfeiture suits involving 57 properties and an 8.7 billion naira money laundering charge against Malami, his wife and son. The development follows a request for adjournment by Malami's counsel and comes after the cases were recently reassigned to Justice Egewutu by the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court. Moving on now, Nigeria has reaffirmed its commitment to youth and women empowerment in agriculture as the 49th season of the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, wraps up in Rome. Nigeria's Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, was elected chairperson of the Governing Council, led discussions focused on investing in young entrepreneurs to drive global food security. Anete Patrick completes the story.
The 49th session of IFAD's Governing Council ended in Rome with a strong call for strategic investment in young people and women in agriculture, themed from farm to market, investing in young entrepreneurs. The biennial meeting underscored the role of youth in job creation, innovation, and inclusive economic growth. Nigeria's Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, who was elected as the chairperson of IFAD's Governing Council, noted that Nigeria's leadership at IFAD aligns with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's directive to prioritize food security, expand opportunities for young people and women, and build resilient agricultural systems capable of withstanding climate and market shocks.
I am deeply grateful for the support of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President of Nigeria and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, whose strong commitment to food security and agricultural transformation continues to shape Nigeria's constructive engagement in both national and global food security governance. When we equip young people with access to finance, skills, mentorship, and markets, we do more than support individual enterprises. We strengthen value chains, generate employment, foster innovation, and secure our shared economic value.
The minister also commended the IFAD Nigeria Country Office, led by Country Director Dede Eko, for translating global commitment into measurable impacts across rural communities, particularly in strengthening value chains and supporting smallholder farmers. As the conference drew to a close, Nigeria reaffirmed its commitment to multilateral cooperation in tackling hunger and poverty, reinforcing its position as a forward-looking voice on the global agricultural stage. Anete Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
The new Nigeria People's Party has rejected a bill before the United States Congress seeking sanctions against its national leader, Rabiu Kwankwaso, over alleged religious freedom violations. The party described the proposed legislation as politically motivated and misleading, insisting that Kwankwaso has consistently condemned insecurity and religious extremism after his tenure as Kano governor. If passed into law, the bill could impose visa bans and access freezes on individuals and entities accused of severe religious persecution in Nigeria. You are watching the live broadcast of News Cycle. When News Cycle continues after this weather forecast, plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Hello, I'm glad to have you with us on the weather forecast for Friday. Starting in the north, plenty of sunshine is expected as dry conditions and clear skies will dominate the region, so no major weather concerns here. To the north-central region, partly cloudy conditions will prevail throughout the day. But it's a different story as we head down south, as cloudy conditions will prevail in the coastal parts of the country as well as the inland cities, with possibilities of morning thunderstorms in parts of Lagos, Edo Delta, Bayelsa Rivers, and Cross River states. Going into the afternoon and evening hours of Friday, the storms are expected to spread to include the inland cities, talking about the southwest and parts of the southeastern states. Now let's talk temperatures. Temperatures are quite high, particularly in the north and in the north central. So remember to remain well hydrated and limit prolonged exposure in sunlight. I am Theodora Itum. Thank you for watching.
You're welcome back from that very short break. And if you're just tuning in, this is News Cycle on Global Television. Thank you for staying with us. In Business Now, the latest monthly report of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, says Nigeria has retained its position as Africa's largest crude oil producer, with output of 1.45 million barrels per day. Although production fell short of the country's 1.5 million barrels per day quota, the figure kept Nigeria ahead of Libya and other continental producers. OPEC says the data were obtained through direct communication with Nigerian authorities and secondary sources, highlighting ongoing effort to stabilize output despite operational and security challenges. So Nigeria recorded about $21 billion in capital importation in the first 10 months of 2025, representing a 75% increase compared to the previous year. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Jumoke Oduwole, said lawmakers, the surge followed over 100 bilateral investment engagements with partners including the United Kingdom, United States, UAE, Brazil and Japan. Oduwole also stated that the United Kingdom accounted for the largest share of inflows, while Nigeria also recorded a trade surplus and double-digit export growth during the period. On the foreign scene now, in a defunct display of resilience, Prime Minister Keir Starmer has declared his unwavering commitment to leading the nation, asserting that he will never walk away from the country he loves. Speaking at a public forum in Hertfordshire centered on the escalating cost of living crisis, Starmer's statement comes after a turbulent period that saw his leadership come under intense pressure. Our correspondent, Edike Michael, tells us more.
The Prime Minister's reaffirmation of his position follows a politically charged Monday where Scottish Labour leader Hannah Sowell publicly called for Starmer's resignation, igniting speculation about his future at the helm. The Prime Minister's cabinet recently has also rallied forcing issued a chorus of endorsement that appeal to temporarily quell these dissent. Now, addressing a crowd of concerned citizens in Hertfordshire, Starmer directly addressed their recent political storm, acknowledging the heightened level of politics in recent time.
I will never walk away from the mandate I was given to change this country. And I will never walk away from the country that I love.
However, Keir Starmer pivoted quickly to his core message, a relentless focus on alleviating the burden of the cost of living crisis in ordinary Britons. Drawing upon deeply personal anecdote, Starmer recounted his personal experience with financial hardship, saying he knows what it's like to struggle. This appeal to his working class roots served as a powerful counterpoint to some of the accusations of being out of touch with the concerns of everyday people. Starmer further emphasized his connection to working class communities by highlighting the composition of his cabinet, which he proudly proclaimed as the most working class cabinet in history. He also lamented the persistent systemic inequalities that continue to hold back
I know what it feels like to sit around the kitchen table worrying about the fact that you can't make ends meet. And there are millions of people in the same boat. Children in poverty, young people who don't get the opportunities they deserve, millions of people held back because of a system that doesn't work for them. And I'm fighting for them. I am their Prime Minister, and this is their government. And I will never give up on that fight. But the fight coming up in politics, the real fight, is not in the Labour Party. It's with the right-wing politics that challenges that. The politics of reform. The politics of divide, divide, divide. Grievance, grievance, grievance. That will tear our country apart. That is the fight that we are in. And I will be in that fight as long as I have breath in my body.
Now, while Starmer's impassioned defense has shored up his position for now, the underlying tensions within the Labour Party remain. Whether he can successfully navigate these challenges and maintain his grip on leadership remains to be seen. The week comes week by critical as he seeks to regain momentum and demonstrate his ability to deliver a tangible result for the British people. Edika Michael for Global TV News.
Thank you, Edikin Michael, for that report. Over now, the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has called a mass shooting in the country's remote town of Tumbler Ridge an act of unheard of cruelty, describing the nation is in mourning. While speaking to Parliament, Prime Minister Carney noted that the incident has left the nation in shock. Uyi Agbomofuegbe tells us more.
Authorities say 9 people were killed in the incident that also impacted the residents in the small northern British Columbia community. Police, however, said the shooter was found dead with a self-inflicted injury. The police have identified the suspect as Jeze Van Rostella, an 18-year-old who had prior mental calls to her home. She was found dead following the attack. The Prime Minister summarily described the impact of the shooting as devastating, while commending first responders, paramedics, and teachers for their courage.
What happened has left our nation in shock and all of us in mourning. 9 people killed, more than 25 others injured, some still in hospital fighting for their lives. I want to express my profound gratitude to the first responders, the RCMP officers who entered immediately that school, not knowing what awaited them, to the paramedics and medical staff at the Tumbler Ridge Health Center, to the teachers and the school staff who acted with extraordinary courage to protect the children in their care.
Royal Canadian Maltese Police Deputy Commissioner Dwayne MacDonald said Rostella had a history of mental health contact with police and that the suspect's mother and stepbrother were found dead in a home near the school. The motive behind the shooting remains unclear. Prime Minister Carney also urged Canadians to understand that while investigation is ongoing, law enforcement should be allowed the space and time to do their job accordingly. Uyi Agbomofuegbe reporting for Global TV News.
In sports news now, the Confederation of African Football has begun stadium and infrastructure inspections in Tanzania, Uganda and Kenya ahead of the 2027 African Cup of Nations. Technical experts are assessing pitch quality, safety, security and training facilities as part of preparations for the first ever 3-nation hosting of the tournament. CAF President Patrice Motsepe is also scheduled to visit the region as organizers intensify efforts to meet world-class hosting standards. The Organization of Military Sports in Africa, OSMA, is throwing its weight behind efforts to reposition shooting sports in Nigeria. OSMA President Major General Abdullahi Mekano pledged institutional support to the Nigerian Shooting Sports Federation in a renewed drive to restore the country's lost dominance in the sports. Our correspondent Anete Patrick tells us more.
Nigeria's shooting sport may be on the brink of survival. That assurance came in Abuja when the board of the Nigeria Shooting Sports Federation, led by its president, Commodore Mohammed Shettima, paid a courtesy visit to the president of Osama, Major General Abdullahi Mai-Kano. Osama, president, congratulated the newly elected executives and charged them to take deliberate steps towards restoring the nation's lost glory in shooting sports. He pledged Osama's full backing, including rehabilitation of shooting ranges, introduction of annual championships, strengthened international collaborations, and structured military-civilian integration.
Partnership in the sense that how the two organizations, the Osama and the Nigerian Shooting Federation, will join hands together to be organizing shooting competition.
Beyond competition, inclusivity is also a major focus as Osama's president emphasized that shooting sports can serve as a rehabilitation platform for wounded soldiers, noting that only a few African countries currently operate structured systems for such integration. Meanwhile, discussions for a memorandum of understanding are already underway, with both parties reviewing a framework to institutionalize the partnership.
Now we have a vibrant shooting federation here in Nigeria, which anytime we are going to have a competition, a championship of shooting, my organization will quickly have, already we have an understanding with them. We are going to call them to assist us in whatever way.
Earlier, Nigeria Shooting Sports Federation President Commodore Mohammed Shettima welcomed the collaboration, insisting that the partnership must be institutional rather than personality-driven. Shettima highlighted job creation for retired military weapons instructors as a key component of the partnership, noting that many retire without opportunities to deploy their specialized skills.
Definitely it will include looking for more talents through grassroots engagement. We want to start the shooting tournament through geopolitical zones. By the time we harness them from the geopolitical zones, we escalate it to the national level, then to the international level.
With the proposed MOA nearing completion, stakeholders say the collaboration could mark a major turning point, opening new pathways for athletes' development, rehabilitation initiatives, and stronger global representation for Nigeria in shooting sports. Anieti Patrick reported for Global TV News.
Now that's it on News Cycle. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen by using @Global TV NG. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching. Good evening.